right, I call the meeting for the Wastewater Committee meeting to order. Everyone, please. All right, so, please, next, please. Provided to all media and persons requesting notification. All right, and I would also just like to make note that please no one asking questions or speak during this meeting. If you have any questions, you may write them down and email myself, Mr. Schaefer, and we will respond accordingly. But please, if you're speaking among yourself, thank you. All right, now please the roll call. Commissioner Clifford? Here. Commissioner White? Here. Commissioner Wilson? Here. Commissioner Wood? Here. All right, now, the presentation from Charleston Water Conserve, there's a conservation lead concerning the water quality issues of Big Island Creek.
Well, I'm very happy to introduce Mr. Andrew Wonderly here tonight. He has been working diligently with the James Island Creek Task Force, and this has been well over a year and a half effort with the James Island Creek Task Force. And I know he presented to the task force, we want to get this to the Wastewater Committee so that everybody understands what the water quality issues are and what we're trying to do to address that. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Andrew.
Thank you. Thank you. If it's all right, if we have any objections on it. Thank you. May it please the committee, my name is Andrew Wonderly, and I'm your Charleston waterkeeper who works to protect and restore Charleston waterways. So you can go fishing, swimming, crabbing, whatever it is you want to do in the water without fear of pollution or getting sick. Over the last 9 years, Charleston Waterkeeper has operated a water quality monitoring program to test for enterococcus bacteria. Every Wednesday, May through October, we sample 20 different sites all around the Charleston area where folks fish, swim, and crab. Enterococcus bacteria is a fecal indicator bacteria, and they indicate the presence of fecal matter in the water. When they're present above certain levels, you assume that the disease-causing pathogens, bacteria, and protozoans that are associated with waste are also present. Enterococcus is the EPA-approved indicator species for public health water quality monitoring programs like ours. All of our sampling work occurs under a DHEC-approved quality assurance project plan that details the quality of control and quality assurance protocols that we maintain in order to ensure that data is high quality. We test all of our samples in the DHEC certified lab at the College of Charleston, the hydrochemistry research lab using EPA standard methods for determining the amount of bacteria in coastal waterways. So we have 2 sample sites. You can see those here. There's actually 3 in here, and I'll explain the 3rd one in a second. But our 2 regular testing sites in James Island Creek are at the Harborview Road Bridge, and then 5 docks past the Folly Road Bridge. Some folks call that part of the creek Ellis Creek. I think it's best I've been able to determine. It depends on how old you are. Some of the older folks call it Ellis Creek, and the younger folks call it James Island Creek. So we have a total of 381 samples out of James Island Creek, and we spent more than $45,000 over the last 8-9 years quantifying and publicly reporting the data about the creek's water quality. Our data set's the most up-to-date, the most robust one available for recreational water quality in the creek. And that data shows that James Island Creek does not meet its water quality standard for safe recreation. Now, the water quality standard has 2 parts. It has a maximum limit and a mean limit, like an average. At the Harborview Road Bridge, 43% of our samples exceed the maximum amount of bacteria allowed by law. At the Folly Road Bridge, 86% exceed that maximum limit allowed by law. When we look at the mean average, it tells a little bit of a different story. At the Harborview Road Bridge, 95% of our samples exceed the mean limit allowed by law. At the Folly Road Bridge, 100% of our samples exceed the mean limit. So using our data set, DHEC developed what's called a total maximum daily load. And they did that in 2018 when the MDL, for short, established a limit on the amount of bacteria that can be discharged into the James Island Creek. Now, the DMDL requires the town, the county, the city, and other stakeholders like the PSC, like Charleston Waterkeeper, like Coastal Conservation League, concerned citizens, and other environmental groups to work together to make sure that James Island Creek can be as water quality. And that's why the James Island Creek Task Force was formed. Earlier this year, Charleston Waterkeeper, on behalf of the James Island Creek Task Force, contracted with Terracon, a local engineering firm, environmental engineering firm, to produce what's called a watershed management plan. And that plan identifies potential sources of bacteria and then outlines projects that will help reduce the amount of bacteria discharged into the James Island Creek. As part of that work, Charleston Water System agreed to fund a source tracking study to get a better idea of where the bacteria was coming from. So in March and May of this year, Charleston Waterkeeper and Charleston Water System performed that study. And so we conducted the sampling. Charleston Water System prepared the samples and then paid for them and sent them to a lab report. So samples were collected from the Harborview Road Bridge site. They were collected from the from the Harborview Road Bridge site. They were collected from the Folly Road Bridge site, and they were also collected from a spot in Simpson Creek that's a tributary to James Island Creek, just right near the Clark Point neighborhood. And so that's that third site. You can see the top two blue balloons are the regular testing sites, and the little one that's lower there, closer to where it says Hillcliff Road, is the Simpson Creek site. And so samples were collected at those sites, and all the samples were analyzed for DNA markers for humans, birds, and dogs. So results from the March and May sampling events showed that the predominant source was human DNA. The second one was birds, and the third most abundant was dogs. So the watershed management plan includes or identifies three sources of human bacteria. That's the Plum Island treatment plant discharge, which is designated by the red star, the white star and red circle. So it's designated by the red icon there. Sanitary sewer overflow and septic tank. So the Plum Island discharge typically affects the Indiana River. A lot of people think it's close up to the tank. It's actually in the Indiana River, not far from Lakewood Gardens. It's in the channel there. I think it's about 30 feet of water or so. A review of their discharge monitoring data are required to every day, and they're required to do, well, long story short, they're required to do a lot of regular sampling. Their average bacteria levels are about 3.6 NPN per 100 milliliters, right? That's about 90% below what the standard is, the standard for bacteria. So, as you all are aware, I'm sure, both Charleston Water System and James Island PSC are required to report overflows to DHEC. A review of DHEC's overflow data, which is available on the website, shows only one overflow in the last 3 years in the James Island Creek watershed. That was in 2019, not far from Fish Camp on Harborview Road. That was responsible party there with Charleston. The watershed management plan also identifies the locations of 346 septic tanks in the James Island Creek watershed. The clusters are located in the Clark Point neighborhood and in the area that's kind of to the north and west of the James Island Creek site there, Folly Road Bridge. The plan also indicates that soil types in these areas, especially closest to the creek, are rated as moderately or severely limited for proper septic tank function in the high water table and low filtering action of the soil types in those areas. So what I'll leave you with is this. This is a public health issue. In 2021, nobody should be swimming, crabbing, or fishing in water that's contaminated with fecal bacteria. We fully support the PSC's efforts to address bacteria pollution in septic tanks, especially focusing on areas where they're densely clustered near James Island Creek areas, but also in areas where the soil types won't support adequate filtration. Thank you, Samara. Skip the slides. So this shows you this shows you the cluster there. Septic tank in the Clark Point neighborhood is 181. This is watershed management plan for Greentown Creek, and there's another 27 or so that are in that area right around the Greentown Creek. And I'll take any questions now. Yes, sir.
Just for purpose of clarity, so the little bridge over is called Collier River?
I'm sorry?
It's called the Ellis Creek Bridge.
Right.
You're hearing the sign that says this.
Ellis Creek.
So that's how you're saying Collier Road, I'm coming here going, wait a minute, we're part of Collier Road, there's another one that's separating from you. That's the one you're talking about, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you.
So if you go back one slide, I would just like, you know, I'm always drawn to the numbers, okay? In there, it shows 181 in Julian Park neighborhood, another 27 in the Up the Hill and Oak Point Road. So 181 with 27 is that 208, which is the proposed sewer expansion project associated with the combination of the resources generously dedicated from the town of James Island, as well as why we've applied to the Rural Infrastructure Authority, and why we have both Senator Sen and Representative Wetmore asking the legislature to help fund this project. And so when we have septic tanks that are on the water that are densely clustered together, that is kind of the low-hanging fruit to be able to propose sewer expansion. And so obviously, we, you know, keep your fingers crossed, we are working with numerous entities to be able to cobble together the funding to be able to do the sewer expansion. So, that's why we asked Andrew to come and explain what's going on as far as the water quality and the testing site, as far as, you know, what CWS at least is going to pay for. So,
That's the one where it'd be $35,000 per household, right?
35 plus, correct.
To make it happen.
And
And
that's
that's
why,
why we need these grants and all the money to offset.
because that it is not, it's not a business decision. It's not a good business decision to go back and re-sewer neighborhoods that were originally designed on septic. It's very costly. The soil type there, being that the water table is so shallow, that it takes a tremendous amount of effort to be able to put a proper public sewer in those areas. So, Wastewater Director Hoffman can attest to some of the challenges associated with that.
What cost will, the homeowner endure from this, if it's costing $35,000, what's it gonna do for their cost?
Well, that's what we're trying to put together as far as the various funding mechanisms. I'm very heartened that Mr. Carol Jackson is here tonight. I know she's working on it with the city. She provided a letter of support, helped us get a letter of support from the mayor of the city of Charleston to be able to go for that RIA grant, as well as, I just, you know, found Jenny Honeycutt at the previous, as far as the county has infrastructure money available. How do we get in on that, right? And the same thing as far as the state legislature, there's an unprecedented amount of $2.1 billion sitting in Columbia. And I couldn't tell you a more worthy project than getting these people off a septic tank and onto public sewer. So while all the infrastructure money is available, we're going everywhere possible. I am not above begging, you know, to be able to get this stuff together.
And of course, they're gonna have to have a sewer bill, too.
Right.
When we did, an EPA, $300 grant of an farm bill, we just did the whole project, but we did a similar project, we didn't have as much money down in Hollywood. And we asked the homeowners, and they knew they had a problem for a little bit of money. And, some of them were so poor they had to pay us monthly, but it was great. Those people wrote a statement note, and they're so happy because we had them contribute a little bit of money to that project. So even asking the homeowner for a little bit of contribution would not be unheard of in that type of project. And also, do you know in that approximate, how many of those people are in the city as opposed to the county environment?
Not everybody, like, reasonable service. Yeah. I only included the ones that were in PSD, water account. So there are some city properties in there, but most of them are already on the gas and sewer.
There's some pipes in it.
There's very little pipe there. So, but the bulk of the whole system is DEP.
I think you have a specific number for the.
It's still, we need a field survey for sure, but based on the maps, the city has about 50 properties that are in city jurisdiction within the Julian Clark's Point neighborhood. And of those 50, 30 of them are already on sewer, mostly Midvale, but there are some scattered around. And then, so that leaves about 21 by our count that would be on septic in the city.
My second question is, and I'm not wrong about this, we have first dibs on this project, so if we say we don't want to do it, we'll solve the water system. Do we want that to happen?
Very candidly, they're not gonna do it unless they get funding to be able to do it. They're not gonna make a bad business decision, trying to put $35,000 per property to address it. The way they're gonna do it is gonna be very similar to what we're trying to do, to be able to get the attention of the authorities and the politicians to be able to address this holistically, having several different government entities come together to be able to address it. It's going to be very difficult for just the PSC to get it done, and that's why the town has graciously put over $1.8 million towards it.
A few years ago, I attended one of the conferences, and I was kind of shocked when they said, we have $17 million in reserve. I said, we don't have that kind of money. So clearly, they have some money to do stuff with. But anyway, I'm just throwing that out. They could easily do this project, I feel like, even though it's in our territory, but if we can get it, I think they could. I'd like to see us try to.
Any other questions? Engaged by you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. All right, so now, on to the perimeter study of
First thing, we're still in the process of conducting the full meter study. We were able to extend it for 1 more month. And with all the rain that we're having, we're getting a lot of good data. So that's going to conclude at the end of this month. We have a meeting scheduled with CWS and the Park and Recreation at the end of October, once all the data is compiled and studied. And then we're going to have a meeting with them to go over our findings. But right now, the same contributors are still conservative. So that hasn't changed.
for the CPA, anything else?
No, nothing else.
Well, then you have to move on to that, which is the master meter.
Our master meter, we are going to replace our current road mark meter. We were going to take it out and have it recalibrated and put back in, but it's cheaper just go ahead and buy a new meter and put it in. Have it calibrated, that way that we know that our meter is correct. And then we'll have a meeting with CWS to discuss whether the difference between their meter readings and our meter readings. And try to come to some logical agreement on what's acceptable between their.
Is it a significant difference in the meeting,
Like meter, reading, right around 10%. Really, we like to be around 2 to 3% or less. We'd like to have them actually agree with each other, would be great.
So to put that in perspective, we paid last year just shy of $3 million to CWS. 10% of that, $300,000. That's a lot of money in my book. And so, you know, we want to be able to have our numbers be reasonably close to their numbers.
Great, thank you so much.
All right, so please, continue now.
Current project under construction, pump station 33 is running on its own right now. We have rerouted the fourth main into the wet well, which was one of the last steps that we're due. Currently, the only thing left is just landscaping and cleaning up the station. And we do have a partial permit to operate now. We'll go for the full permit. We should be done with that project probably by the month. The SSES or the pipeline and nano projects, and that's what we're going to do tonight. We should be done with those by the end of this month, early October, and should have that project complete by the middle of October.
So, on to number 7. All right, so this will be the project combined with the SSDS.
We're going to continue the process of lining and fixing manholes, keep the INI to a minimum. Currently, we're working on the permit. I signed 3 today to send in for approval, and hopefully we'll have that out for bid early winter. Next.
All right, well, thank you so much for the help. All right, so on to number 8, the grant submission to the Zero Infrastructure Authority.
Yeah, so I sent that out for permission because I didn't want to put 357 pages in a packet for you. It's a lot of information. Stephanie did a fantastic job putting all that together. That is submitted to the Rural Infrastructure Authority, and that theoretically would, if we get that grant, we will get $500,000 towards the proposed sewer expansion project. So that was due today. We sent that last week, so it's in, and hopefully by the end of next month we'll understand if we got that or not. And if we didn't, there's another round in March, and we're going to see it again, and then we're going to see it again. So we have the template now to be able to continue to push those projects through that.
Well, thank you, Stephanie, for your work. I really appreciate it. Okay, and so then, we are on to number 9, legal changes to the wastewater ordinance and utility account.
All right, so what you have in your meeting packet starts with this, which is a draft of the wastewater collection system use and rate ordinance. And so the proposed procedural changes to the wastewater collection system use and rate ordinance goes back to our discussion last spring, when we concentrated on the revision of the rate. And that's the last 2 pages of the ordinance, which is pages 20 and 21. So that is what was addressed, and that was addressed because of the skyrocketing treatment costs that we're paying to CWS of that $3 million that I mentioned before. So the procedural changes focus on the first 19 pages of the ordinance. And this has been a tremendous amount of work from the district revenue manager, Ms. Tucker, the finance director, Mr. Phil Cullen, the wastewater director, Mr. Hoffman, as well as numerous red lines and revisions from the district legal team. So not only do the procedural changes reflected in the first 19 pages, bring the district more in line with practices from other utility systems, the proposed changes reflect enhanced transparency for all utility customers when utility accounts are created with the PSC. And so you will see new in the district's proposed wastewater payment policy is spelled out in plain English that is applied consistently to all utility customers. You will see the district wastewater service agreement spelled out with 10 expectations when establishing utility accounts. Members of the wastewater committee will also see the revised application for new service and cancellation of service. So all of these changes to the account origination process that you see with the new form, that has all been incorporated into the ordinance. And so section 4.3 of the usage rate and service charges, starting on page 14, as well as the section 4.4 on billing. So you just go into your packet and you see page 14, okay? 4.3, usage rates and service charges. As well, that carries into page 15, where section 4.4 of billing goes into page 16, okay? Into the very top of page 17 with the C. Those are the most heavily changed sections in the ordinance, okay? Because that had to be modified to be able to incorporate the payment policies as well as the user agreement, so all of this jives together. And so that is what the heaviest back and forth between all of us and the district legal team, and we were trying to make all of this language adjust to the new processes for establishing accounts. And what you will see in there is we are bringing our practices more in line with what other utilities have already implemented, okay? And we're having new accounts acknowledge that they understand what our payment policies are and what's going to happen if they don't pay their bill on time. And we are trying to be able to enhance our collection efforts with the district legal team and Rose and Haygood to be able to pursue action against outstanding delinquent balances. And that's what we have to do to be able to collect what we can collect on the outstanding balances. The ultimate goal is to reduce the amount of outstanding balances by being upfront with new customers and telling them what the rules are, and then applying those rules very consistently to all the customers within the system. So you will also note in there, besides pages 14 through 16, there's a new definition. 1.1.31 of security deposit. And I will tell you that security deposit, that's on page 5. That is not a new concept within a utility system. The new concept is the PSC. And we are behind on billing because we import the data out of CWS. We're not reading the meters. CWS is reading the meters. We then import that data back after they've done the adjustment. By the time our bills go out, we're 2 months behind on billing prior usage. Meaning, we need to capture those outstanding balances and be able to have a security deposit that if these customers leave us high and dry, we can at least recapture some of that based on the security deposit. And so that's what is obviously incorporated into the new account origination, and that's why you'll see those forms after the ordinance that starts with the wastewater payment policy, as well as the wastewater service agreement, and then it goes into the wastewater new service application. And so, obviously, this has been a tremendous amount of work to get all this together, make the language jive between all these new forms and the ordinance language. But 4.3 and 4.4, that's obviously where most of the changes have been made. And so, what also has been removed is section 2.10, which is a section about petitioning for public wastewater. That's been completely removed from the ordinance. And that was back and forth, obviously, with legal review as far as our process to be able to have customers not on the system, how to have them understand how they would get on the system. And both commercially, residentially, we have an intake process through our website that there is a wastewater availability portal, and they fill out where they're at and what kind of wastewater service they're looking for, and that goes directly to wastewater director Austin and his team. And we're trying to have a uniform process, both commercially, residentially, for how we understand the potential to expand the system. And so, instead of having section 2.10 in there, we're going for that process. And so that language was removed from the ordinance as well. And those are the major highlights as far as the changes and the procedural changes to the wastewater ordinance.
Do you have any questions?
I think they've done a lot of really good work on trying to see what's going on. Because I thought I'd be more behind.
Well, I like it because it gives them, it explains to them, to the customer. And they understand, and it's a deposit, like you said, because the team of the building is somewhat in the rear, so if they leave, we're not like stuck with all that they think of what they accumulated.
I love Tim and Jim and Rose and Haygood, but I would much rather reduce their efforts to chase down delinquent accounts. I'd rather build up the front end process and be forthright with our customers that this is what's gonna happen if you don't pay your bill. And I'm sorry, but other utilities, if you don't pay your electric bill, your lights don't go on. And if you don't pay your gas bill, sometimes the furnace doesn't go on. It's the same here. You gotta be forthright upfront with our customers. And this whole process is gonna be really good for the vast majority of our customers that pay their bills on time. For the slight minority of customers that don't pay their bills on time, it's gonna get worse. But that's, we have to be fair and consistent to all our customers.
Thank you. Thank you so much, and thank you all. Anything else? Okay, and then I call this a meeting adjourned. Wait, there is something else. Yeah, wait.
Yeah, what I was hoping to be able to do is have the wastewater committee make a recommendation that the ordinance go to the full commission on the 27th of September 2021.
And I am for that.
Commissioner Bryant?
Yes.
Commissioner Hilton?
Yes.
Commissioner Wilson? Yes. One more thing?
Don't forget about the cleanup on Saturday, September 18th. I don't know what month I'm in now. September 18th, what time are we meeting over there?
8 a.m. at the corner of Folly Road and Fort Johnson. And,
Many hands make light work.
there you go, look at that.
Thank you. All right, and so, unless I have lost my marbles. Okay, I will adjourn. Thank you all.